The photographs used in this film derive from a variety of different online sources. Not all photographs in this film include Victor Klemperer. The purpose of the photographs are to show the similar circumstances that Jews, like Victor Klemperer, experienced during the Holocaust. This short film's intended purpose is to provide a unique perspective through the context that Victor Klemperer provides in his memoir, I Will Bear Witness, which is a collection of diary entries as well as individual memories spanning from 1933 through 1941 in Nazi-occupied Germany.
Victor Klemperer is a Polish-born Jew, but converted Protestant and living in Dresden, Germany, with his ill wife Eva. Klemperer was a professor at the university in Dresden until early 1935, a year and a half after the law for the restoration of the professional civil service was enacted, and he was stripped of his position.
Victor Klemperer, already an avid writer, kept a complete journal with him to not only document his traumatic experience, but also as a means to retain the little purpose he felt he had left in his life. By examining the personal accounts of Victor Klemperer during Nazi-occupied Germany from 1933 through 1941, the hardships that somewhat privileged Jews who remained in the anti-Semitic-fueled Nazi inferno faced on a day-to-day basis are brought to light. From relationships with fellow Germans and Jews, financial setbacks, and the relentless fight for survival. Klemperer is married to a Prussian immigrant woman, Eva Schimmler. Eva fit Hitler's physical attributes to be labeled as an Aryan, superior to all races, especially her dark-haired and brown-eyed Jewish husband. Victor attributes his survival in huge part to Eva's Aryan blood, which allows his intended audience to consider Victor's position, a Jew married to an Aryan. This relationship allowed Jews such as Klemperer to experience the benefits of being an Aryan in Nazi-occupied Germany. In early 1935, Klemperer was unable to enter many public facilities and use their resources, for they were limited to the Aryan population, such as libraries, public transits, certain grocery stores, or even post offices. Despite Kempler's inability to physically enter these public facilities, his wife, an Aryan, was able to enter and retrieve the desired items and bring them home. This specific relationship gave these Jews a certain type of relief, for they were able to experience some benefits that some Jews were denied, making these specific Jews considered privileged. It is also important to consider the time period that his memoir focuses on. It was common knowledge among Jews that they were getting deported to concentration camps, labor camps, and other types of holding centers, with no knowledge of Hitler's vision of total annihilation of European Jewry. So Kempler's mindset was to avoid deportation because deportation would lead to a less desirable style of living, not inevitable death. As time progressed, Hitler's dream became reality for the Jews of Europe. Kempler began to suspect Hitler's intention concerning the question, what will become of the Jews in Europe? However, no one could have ever imagined the systematic killing at such large of scale. Kempler's marriage was not the only relationship he had with an Aryan, but him and his wife also spent a great deal of time with their dear Aryan friends, the Kohlers. Despite all the anti-Semitism and the drastic changes that occurred in German society throughout 1933 through 1945, German citizens tried to revert back to normality, especially in social settings. When the Kemplers would have a night out with the Kohlers, consisting of drinking, card playing, and political discussion, allowed for both couples to escape reality and try to maintain their positive relationships and reestablish their pre-Nazi activities, even if it were short-lived. Not only did a Jew's positive relationship with Aryans allow for a certain degree of social relaxation, but there was also a financial benefit as well. Since Jewish bank accounts in Germany were frozen, and as well as their possessions, many Jews transferred their savings, or a portion of them, to their trusted German Aryan friends, who were able to withdraw money and give it back to the Jewish friends. Kempler also discusses how before he was forced out of his home and put into a Jew house in Germany, he gave many of his possessions to the Kohlers, so that it would not fall into the hands of the Nazis. This dynamic gave many Jews relief from the Nazi seizure of Jewish bank accounts and enabled them to use their savings to buy passports and bribe Nazi officials. This was a major risk. If Aryans were caught in aiding Jews, they would be subjected to deportation or other serious consequences. For this, many Jews understood that some of their Aryan friends were just as powerless as they were, and everyone living in Germany was a victim of the Nazi regime to some degree. On February 27th and March 6, 1943, a group of around 200 non-Jewish women married to Jewish men that were incarcerated by the Nazis held a protest demanding information of the current status of their husbands. Kempler's memoir also includes an insight into the relationships between Jews all around Europe. In 1933, Victor and his wife looked to erect a small home structure in the countryside near the German village of Dulsgen. Kempler gives a Polish Jew by the name of Sandel 240 German marks, in hopes that he could purchase cheap building supplies through a third party stationed in Poland. Sandel decides to pocket Kempler's money, knowing that the Nazi officials would not waste a moment to settle a claim between two Jews. This situation is very interesting, for it allows a foreign Jew to take advantage of a German Jew because of the blatant fear of a German Jew going to Nazi officials for help, especially for a Jew-on-Jew crime. As time went on and more restrictions on Jews were implemented, Jews turned to their Jewish community for relief from their everyday experiences of anti-Semitism. Through this religious bonding, many Jews began forming relationships with one another. For many Jewish mothers, fathers, brothers, and sisters were deported, and family units were destroyed, gave rise to integrated multi-Jewish family systems. By forming these types of relationships, Jews were able to exchange information, such as tips on how to avoid detection and survive in Nazi-occupied Germany, and most importantly, the feeling that the individual Jew was not alone in this hell of Nazism. I hope you all liked my presentation and now have a better understanding of the impact that relationships had on Jews throughout the Holocaust.